inherently bad, or that there are certain things that should be involved in the same way. I think we can say that there should be, that no platforming is a tactic that is appropriate sometimes, while still recognizing that there are certain things that should not be no platforming. There are certain ways of doing no platforming that are wrong. All you have to accept, vote against the motion, is this idea that there are some circumstances which has moral necessity that we use this, and that it has worked in order to limit the rise of.
Well, let me ask you, so does that make students within universities, are they citizens of democracy, or are they under the guidance of the university itself? Because if you have safe spaces on campus, if I'm Milo, I can go on the street corner and preach whatever I want, and I'm protected by that. But under university guidelines, there are safe spaces, there are whatever it is. So what is the difference? How are students protected under university guidelines if it's public, federally enforced, and they provide the means for these students to invite the speakers? Where is that division?
I think that universities should support which are engaged in blocking speakers that fundamentally threaten the undercut. Like the idea that you're supposed to combine knowledge in endeavor to undercut the bullshit hierarchy of like unity, right? That's where this all came out. And so I think universities should design codes in solidarity with their students that oppose things that white nationalism. But even if they don't, right? Even if the university wants to maintain an approach themselves to act
yeah, but I think you're bringing a larger culture. So if you can embrace this position, why we should not allow you to go on campus, that's one argument. We don't need to go, I offer a simpler solution. Just by the very nature of the university, we don't need, the university will decide what is a controversial speaker and what brings value. And most of these speakers that are both controversial that we're certainly talking about today, universities have little interest in. They're not truth providers. I would say most of them are. I'd say from pretty obvious case, that's not the discussion here, but I'd say from pretty obvious case that they're not truth providers for the most part. And the university is interested in truth. It's research, there's education. There's something about truth in that form. And if you follow that, and if you follow the things I listed, you don't even need to get to this argument. I think it's a valid argument. I think it's a larger cultural issue, but we're discussing universities. And universities have no need for this distraction. It takes away from a real focus. And I'm kind of jumping all on.
All right, we're gonna end Crossfire right there because we need to move into our final arguments. So if you guys want more questions, you can ask these guys after the debate. Otherwise, we're gonna move straight into our 3-minute closing speeches, starting with Jack.
All right. It's funny that you guys bring up the mission of the university. I would concede. Indeed, I totally agree with you. The university's mission is here to seek truth. With that, I give you Ruth J. Simmons, the first Black woman president of an Ivy League university, Brown University. While other types of communities divide covenants so as to avoid conflict, our covenant is rooted in quarrel, in opposition. We encourage ideas and opinions to collide in the free service of learning. We freely trespass boundaries, criticize each other's views, test every single theory. No idea is beyond range or out of bounds. To be sure, there are rules, but such rules give us wide berth to the expression of ideas, and the freedom of expression is a very bedrock of scholarly investigation. How then can we possibly reach the bedrock of scholarly investigation if we do not allow even one idea to cross into the university robust debate of ideas, in this marketplace of ideas? It cannot happen. If it does not happen at Brown, it cannot happen anywhere else. And to your point, what you say when most of these people are commercial media folks who come from YouTube or who come from Instagram, wherever. Ben Shapiro is published. He's been published since he was like 25. Also, Christina Hoff Sommers has been easily shouted down at other law schools, future law students, which are using the opposition's exact premise of non-violent reaction to this to shout out bad ideas. Just last year, Josh Blackman went to CUNY Law School, who was also shouted down by future law students. It was on YouTube, as one of them even saying, "Fuck the law." You are a law student. These people need not ever be in school. And I don't know where they did not get the memo, but once you cross into that threshold, then you're opening yourself up to being offended. You cannot think without opening yourself up to be offended. Dr. Jordan Peterson even said so in one of his interviews, the famous lobster interview, because that lady, his interviewer, was making him uncomfortable. But why should her uncomfortability override his uncomfortability? Also to the point, if we have a moral right to protect these students from the bad things out there, what moral absolutism is this? Who's deciding what's morally right? The tribunal of the administrators at these universities? I think not. I think we should all be able to think for ourselves. And if you go to university, you should be able to think for yourself. If you cannot, learn quickly. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. My friends, I suggest, if you haven't already, start thinking. Start being. And if you have done so already, keep it up. You're doing good.
I've already covered what I've said earlier. I'm just going to jump right to the second. I was anticipating that we've already boiled down to a discussion of free speech, marketplace of ideas, and let me go to another idea which I haven't heard here at all, and that's the concept of academic freedom. Academic freedom has not been touched at all, and that is disappointing. But it goes back to the points I was stressing before, that a university has a certain culture, has a certain set of traditions, it has a certain history. And if we don't acknowledge any of those, we're just focusing on the larger cultural things, and we're almost negating what a university is and why we value it. So that's why I'm kind of here defending universities. Honestly, that's why I signed up for this. That's why I value it. I think that these cultural speakers are a distraction to primary value of what the university brings to us. So academic. I think we're agreed that universities do pursue truth. That's a different question from that, but let's generally agree that we know truth. But if you pursue that, you need certain rules, and we conceded that. And those rules go back to those things that I referenced before. Yeah, the faculty and the methodology is used, whether you're in physics or whether you're doing philosophy or you're doing literature, poetry. There are certain things that they accept as standards. And he did reference some books being published, and that most of them are published. I would say most of them are published in popular. You're going to find them in Barnes and Noble. You're not going to find them on course curriculum. You're not going to find them in peer-reviewed journals. And I will grant that there are some of them that are surviving universities. And God bless them that, I am kind of happy that they're there. That I would welcome having that controversy they bring in a peer-reviewed journal. So they get their fair share. And if what he says is true, that there are weak arguments, there are weak ideas, they will end up at the bottom. More interesting, more challenging, more useful ideas will rise to the top. And that, again, I end with that is the value of the university, and that is why we don't need
Okay, the idea of academic freedom and allowing students to choose who they want to come on campus and to protest who they want. So here's the problem with this, right? What if the majority of the campus university are progressives, right? And it's dominated by progressive ideals. Then you just allow progressive ideals to then subjugate the ideals of other people, like conservatives, like that, right? And we see these examples in the incident at Middlebury College with Charles Murray, when he was invited by conservative students to speak, and they shot, and progressives didn't allow him to speak. They came into the assembly hall and they shot him out, shot him down, and then when they were successful at doing that, but unsuccessful in being able to challenge those ideas. But then when he was leaving, some student targeted one of the university professors there who was actually progressive, who did not agree with Charles Murray's ideas. Targeted her, grabbed her neck, twisted her neck, and she was hospitalized because of this, right? Does this sound like the kind of actions that we should be allowing at the university level relative to what you guys are saying that academic freedom should be upheld? I don't believe so. I think that we should be more tolerant of other people's ideas. And I think that there was a lot of misrepresentations on the outside. For example, there was a misrepresentation that all these controversial speakers are just liars. We haven't gotten one example of a lie that one of these controversial speakers had given. And even if they were liars, don't you think that if we were able to challenge those lies, we can expose those lies for the lies that they are? And maybe we don't change the minds of people who are listening to that speech, but at least we can plant those ideas into the minds of those people so that when they're going through their lives and experiencing things in the actual world, then they can see, oh, you know what? No, black people, all black people actually don't have low IQs. Oh, you know what? All gay people aren't like this. All Jewish people aren't like that, right? And planting those ideas are truly important because you have the counters to that indoctrination that you have grown up with throughout your life. Trusting people just does not work. And with the Charles Murray example, even though you silenced him from being able to speak, he still was able to sell a lot of copies of the book that he went to the university to talk about. Because as soon as that controversy went out there, as soon as media attention, as soon as the media broadcasted the events at Middlebury College, his book sales actually went up. So we believe that not being violent and tyrannical in order to accomplish your goals in the name of justice is a net good, and developing strong argumentation skills at the university level is a net good as well. Thank you.
They made an admission part of their case that I think goes to the heart of this group. They said there is no difference between those supporting civil rights and those who oppose them. This is the kind of nihilism, this is the kind of postmodern nonsense in which white nationalism thrives. The idea that it is just as good or justifying thing to do. That this person says that we should have, universal health care, and this person wants to gash Jews and tomato, is an idea that I don't think anyone in this room actually believes. No one in this room actually believes that all these ideas are equal. And what we need is the courage to stand by our convictions, that there is a fundamental difference between those in support of racial hierarchies and in war and extermination and those who are trying to create a better world. You don't need to defend somebody who's attacking the ACLU. It's not our burden. Our burden is simply to show that there are circumstances in which controversial speakers defined as those who fundamentally undermine the norms of tolerance and those who fundamentally threaten the safety and well-being of others around them through these ideas ought to be blocked. Because the purpose of the university is liberation. The purpose of us getting together is to teach each other, to create a better world, to help us live better lives, not to uphold hierarchy, but to dismantle it. So the young people who are organizing front lines of anti-fascism, people who are out there putting their bodies literally under the wheels, people who are out there being attacked in their homes by white nationalists, they have the courage to stand up and say, "No, I will not allow you to speak here." I don't think that they can be accused of trying to stay in their safe space. I think that we have examples on our side, coming from Richard Spencer himself, coming from Milo himself, that indicates that they are very afraid of no platform. That's why they talk about it all the time. Indicate that the reason why their membership plummets is when they don't have access to large spaces to bring in recruits and do a big kind of rally that gets all the kids excited. It's just an anecdote, but when I ran Milo, in a group that I'm with, ran Milo out of the park, he went bankrupt 3 days later. I can't claim all responsibility. But I think it certainly didn't help. And they've given you no example, not one, of a single time in which the racist was turned around by a good debate. MLK didn't debate the racists. He organized against them. Because the truth is unsexy. It is not going to win on its own. It needs our help, and it needs your help. And I hope that you will.
Thank you so much to our debaters. One more round of applause for these guys. And again, it takes a lot of preparation and hard work to come up with arguments like this. And if you feel like this is something that you want to try as well, we have feedback forms. You can tell us what topics you want to talk about. We have seminars. I'll get into that in a minute. You can all fill out your second ballot right now and hand it over to Thomas. We're going to calculate those up, and then we're going to determine a winner at the end. And one new feature that we have for this debate that I'm very excited for is a post-debate analysis by our esteemed professor, Dr. Stephen Yano. He's going to come up here and give us kind of back and forth on what he thought worked really well, what needed improvement, and strategies for how to create argumentation. It's a little bit of a snippet of the seminars that we host every single month, so we hope you stick around for that, and then we'll give you the results right after that. So without further ado, Dr. Stephen Yano.
Thanks, Evan. Thank you guys for all coming out and sitting through debate. We could be doing myriad other things. I think it speaks a lot to what you're interested in, and it's a good thing for somebody who's an old rhetoric professor to see. It makes me happy. And it's also interesting that people come out for debate, because I always wonder why people do. Since debate in our country and in our society is generally considered to be a very negative, counterproductive thing, mostly because debate exists in a colonized state. It's colonized on many different sides. It's colonized by the mass media, by media for profit. It's colonized by a demand for scientific rationality in all discussions, no matter if they have anything to do with science or not. There's lots of opponents to a kind of thinking that wouldn't have any connections to all of this. So it's good to see you out here, so thank you guys for coming. I'm not going to spend too long. I feel like I'm spending on I thought it was pretty good, but I think I should talk about the way I see debate and the way debate functions from a meaning. You have some other professor up here that give you some other idea. But I think a lot of people approach debate and they see it as like hiring a professional housekeeper for controversy. They're going to come in and clean up all the dirt and all the junk, and they're going to declutter and organize your thoughts, and that's what a debate is meant to do. But I see debate as this thing, and I don't really know what it's called. You probably know what it's called, but I have the fortunate, as a university professor, I interact with young people, which is great, and I befriend them on Facebook, and I see this thing that people do periodically where they run through colored dust. Does anybody know about this event? Holly, is that what it's called? Holly, look at it. Yeah, so everyone takes pictures and they're hit with all these bright colors. And I feel like that's the function, that's the metaphor I like for debate, is that you've come to a color run. So you probably have been stained by the number of colors that have been thrown at you. from the people speaking in pure debate, explodes topics, disrupts cleanliness, disrupts order, and that's why it's valuable. It's not necessarily meant for, some people think of it as like a crucible burning away, trying to find the truth or anything like that. I don't think debate's a good tool for that. I think there's better tools for that if one wanted to seek the truth. But anyway, that's the approach that I take. So what did we see in this debate that I thought was interesting? Well, I'll give you three, well, actually two more, because the first one, I guess, the function of debate is to kind of get a bunch of colors on you and you can say, wow, look at all the things that I was exposed to in the hidden. The second thing that I came up in this debate, that I've heard two big framing things that I think we should talk about in this debate. The first is, what is the function and nature of speech? I think that's something that we can come away with as one of the things that's kind of stainless. How does speech function? How should it function? What does it do? And there's lots of people over thousands of years who've written whole books on this, multiple volume books on this, that you can read. But in this debate, it might be a question that we should walk away with and think about how we've been colored with that idea. Does speech function as a necessary part of education? People against online learning would like to say yes. Do we have to have particular kinds of controversy? Is offensive speech a necessary part of education? That's a question I was left with. Does speech change minds? Or do we just like to think that the speech changed somebody's mind? Or does it act as a catalyst for a mind change from other types of interference, other types of information? How does that function? That's one of the questions I'm left with. The second one is the function and nature of the university. You can go anywhere with this, but I think in a debate it's really nice to kind of have a very clear definition of what this is. And I really appreciated your comments on this, because I thought this was a nice way to debate. It's sort of like this really neat way to debate where you can just kind of make up whatever you think that institution is and then put it out there and speak as if you're speaking neutrally. So be like, the FDA has a 7-part process before they clear a drug. And if it's reasonable, most people in the audience will accept it. They'll be like, oh yeah, that is reasonable. Because in debate, we're not after the truth or fact or anything like that. We're after reasonable arguments that help us get exposed to different kinds of ideas. So I thought this was kind of an interesting way to go. And at the end of the day, I'm left with thinking about the university's old role in loco parentis, maybe returning. So in loco parentis was the idea in place of parents. This was like the 1940s, 1950s university, where the university saw itself as standing in for the parents of the kids whose charge they took, and they were supposed to make them good moral operators as well as educate them, all this kind of stuff. And it seems like there might be an argument at the end of this debate that we might be returning to that, except from the opposite direction. Like trying to make them good or appropriate thinkers, or thinking about the right things, rather than just thinkers or something. And what about the university as like a job training facility, which we hear a lot about? Or about the university as a research organ or institution, which you hear about? Can the university multitask? What's the function of like student services and student affairs and the academic side of the university? Because a lot of these people are brought in through student affairs, as entertainment. They're brought in through budgets like that, so I thought about that too. It was kind of a question to think. So there were 4 really good examples of excellent debate in this debate. One was how something ought to work is a good thing to think about in debate. You can make a lot of arguments like that. So we heard from both sides how the university ought to work, how education ought to work. What should the university be like as a normative claim? And then how far away are we from that now? And what do we need to do to get closer to that? Because that's our objective, that's our goal. We want the university to function properly. That's a really powerful commonplace to generate arguments from. The second one is how alternatives fail. So another interesting thing to do in a debate, to set yourself up, is to say, well, any kind of alternative to this, what we have now, it might not be the best thing, but any kind of alternative you come up with would fail. Jason talked about that a lot when he said, any attempt to kind of stop this is really just going to get you a worse result than if you tried to stop it. And I think that's a powerful argument that gets a lot of assent, a lot of agreement from audiences a lot of times. It's a very powerful thing to use when you get into arguments as well. The third one is dangerous, huge impacts. This is Sam. And this is kind of a throwback for me. It's like the best of 2018 is the best of 2008. I used to judge Sam in intercollegiate debate competitions all the time. And I think this is a very powerful speech. It's dangerously huge impacts. So if you were to do this policy, it might work, it might be great, but then you're going to get these massively tectonic, incredibly destructive impacts that you don't want from that policy. I think it's a very powerful way to argue. And so it's very strategic, because then you can talk a lot about things that you know a lot about and things that you think are incredibly powerful and persuasive based on one action. People really do like causal argumentation, even given that there's tons and tons of books about how dangerous and how poorly that works too, or how hard it is to make a causal argument. Talk to any scientist about that. Any researching scientist about how easy is it to prove that something causes something else. I had a wonderful discussion with a physician about this, about how there's like 5 different ways you can argue whether a patient has had a heart attack, and there's not a lot of agreement among physicians. I don't know if there's any physicians here, but physicians have different understandings of that. So, I mean, that kind of rocked my world. I thought heart attack was pretty clear. But apparently, depending on your perspective and your point of view and what contextual evidence is there, you may have had a heart attack, you may have not. And the stakes are pretty high for that, especially for the patients. So, debates everywhere. And then the final thing is a nice litmus test kind of arguments where you would say, well, do we have a litmus test for this, which is, have we dipped a piece of test paper in another forum and seen what the result was? And then can we generalize via metaphor, via comparison from that? We saw that through the whole thing. So that's what I thought about it, is I think that, you know, this is like a color run. I think those are some of the colors that hit me. I think that's the function of debate. I don't think we should allow debate to be colonized as, we're going to find the real answer here, the real truth. Debate's way too problematic for that. I have a little bit of time left, I guess. Maybe if you have any questions about debate, I'll take maybe like 1 or 0 or none. Okay, thank you.
Steve has been integral to this program. He and I created these seminars that we host every month where you can sign up. Every person gets to debate for about 3 minutes. We're introducing a new function where somebody can do a 7-minute on their own topics, but Steve will be guiding you through it. You'll deliver your argument and maybe get a couple of facets of debate beforehand to help you get started. We have debate guides, and then afterwards, you can talk about what you could improve and what you did well. So very exciting stuff. Our next one is June 14th. I'm going to put down the screen here soon where there's like a $5 discount code that you guys can use if you want to go. Otherwise, our next debate is on June 20th in conjunction with the Rikers Debate Project, which is inmates debate over at Rikers Island Prison. We're actually going to have former students from the program debating here, and the motion is pretrial incarceration in the United States should be abolished. So that should be a really interesting debate. Without further ado, we'll move into results here. I want to thank Tom specifically for doing this for us. He's the owner and leader of the New York City Political Forum. If you guys want to follow them on Meetup, they're an amazing organization. There's a lot of people here today from there, so talk to them if you want to know more. Before the debate, we had 22 people for the motion, 4 people against the motion, and 10 people undecided. Afterwards, and this is really interesting actually, both sides netted positive votes. On the for side, they went from 22 votes to 26 votes, 4 plus net votes. On the no side, they went up from 4 votes to 6 votes, which means the highest net positive votes was for the for side. We are deemed our winners Kyrie and Jaquan. So again, thank you all so much for being here. We hope you enjoyed this display of civil discourse. We hope you'll join us again. Again, it's not perfect, but we love it so much, and we want you guys to be a part of it. Come through with any questions. Otherwise, we do need to get out of here by 8:45. Otherwise, we'll make another announcement around 8:45. Thanks so much.